was also banned out by LYON in the previous game on the red side in the first half of the draft too. It was banned alongside the Skarner and the Varus, I believe. So this time around, LYON back on the blue side. It is the Zyra, it is the Ashe, it is the Ivern banned out by them. Over on the other side, the Skarner, the Kalista. Last ban, what are we going to get here from Shopify? They know that they don't have first pick this time around. A lot of those power picks are out. K'Sante, Jace, and Ambessa. The unholy trinity of please balance this, according to Bwipo's Twitter image, is now unavailable. Top lane's going to get more interesting.
Licorice can't even go with his Poppy because they picked it as a support in the last game. They got rid of his pocket. Varus would be a strong pick to have early, and I'm really, you know, this is one of those things that is going to be exciting, especially for coaches trying to prep draft going into Game 3, because it's so unique. It's so different every single time. You really have to spend all that time in between games to figure out, like, okay, which role can we pinch the hardest? Which comp is still left? And how do we make sure we get it and the other team doesn't see it coming early?
And I do believe that Varus was banned first set of bans on red side in both previous games. So this third game now, they're letting it through. The response from Shopify, they're locking in the Yone, which was banned out early on in the draft in the previous game. They're also picking up the Ziggs. So the answer to the long-range Varus lane abuse bottom lane is just don't interact with him.
Yeah. You can throw over the top in team fights, and Yone can fly in from 2 miles away as well. So I like the initial skeleton. Although I'm not completely sold on Bvoy's Ziggs, but I think it'll be fine in this context.
Okay. How do we feel about the Ahri Viego combination from LYON?
It's on brand.
Okay.
They really want to pick high agency mid-jungle duos. From game 1, where they had the Vi Aurora, into this where they have the Ahri Viego. I think they always want to be able to have a go button.
Oh, there he is. There's our other top laner that we can't ever get rid of. I knew I was forgetting one. How did I forget the Croc? All right. So we will have that locked in for Fudge. That does mean Yone for Palafox. I mean, naturally, you always assume that the Yone is going to go mid, but sometimes you can see a switch up, like depending on player or meta. Sometimes he'll like to go top 2. But we do have that double melee. Mostly completely physical. Yone does have a little bit of splash of magic in there. Yeah. But mostly physical, melee solo lanes for the side of Shopify. That means I'm probably looking at them to want to go for an AP jungler. Zyra was already banned out in the first half of the draft.
Lilia and Nidalee are both there. I'm actually pretty surprised they banned Wukong, because I think Wukong would have been awful with Renekton Yone. So I think that's potentially a missed opportunity for bans. On the other side, I really like what Shopify's done with Renekton and then banning out his natural enemy in Gnar, as well as the Jax. So I think Fudge is really going to have his way in this game currently with Renekton.
Okay, let's see what Shopify wants to lock in here. We still have to see the support. We still have to see the jungler. Leaving jungle for last would be very interesting. We'll see if there's some secret Contractz pick that they just need to make sure all the stars align for.
I mean, if they're not going to change their support pick anyway because they want to have an engaged support with Leona being down, they're just going to lock it in now so Nautilus doesn't get taken away and then they'd be stuck with Alistar. So I like picking the support early, and then if there's a bunch of melees, I think you see Lilia. If you need a little bit more mobility, I think you'd see Nidalee. But we'll see if Contractz has something else cooked up.
Well, the response for the top lane from Licorice is the Urgot. This has been mostly a Bwipo pick in LCS last year, in LTA this year. Like, I saw him also tweeting about it earlier today, saying that it's a very good champion that more people should be picking. So we're going to see Licorice pilot that one here in this one alongside the Rakan for Engage from Lyonz. Last pick of the draft for Shopify. You were talking about Lilia. You were talking about Nidalee. I'm not going to comment until they lock it in. Okay, Amumu. I will tell you this right now. I think Amumu is way better than Nidalee. I am like #1 Nidalee hater. I feel like if your name's not Canyon, don't play it. So I'm really happy for Shopify to see them lock in the Amumu instead. I feel like this has a ton of combo potential with Yone and Ziggs both.
It does.
I think it's exactly what they need.
He's my one trick lately as well, so I'm well familiar with the ways of the Amumu. I'm glad Contractz picked it. I just didn't expect it. I really did think it was going to be Lily or Nidalee, the higher skill cap champions. But so he's a pretty good ganker, and he loves setup the same way a spear champion would. Because even if Nidalee throws a spear, Amumu throws himself. And
he is the spear.
He is the spear with his managed toss. And because he has 2 charges, that's actually a considerable amount of lockdown. So just as threatening early if you have bot lane gankable, or if Renekton stacks a good wave, you can do the same types of dives that you'd be doing with other AP junglers.
So who are you liking better in this one? Because the difference that this draft has compared to both of the previous ones, in my opinion, is both of the previous drafts had one team with a lot of engage and the other team with a whole big fistful of nothing. This time, both teams have powerful engage mechanisms.
They do.
Rakan on one side, Nautilus and Amumu on the other. Both teams can say, no, we fight now.
They absolutely can, and a lot of times at that point, it comes down to who can set things up better, and in that sense, I like Shopify a bit more because I think they just have so much more presence in their solo laners with the Renekton and the Yone being able to win 1v1s, and then just raw wave clear with the Ziggs. So like purely from a theory level, I favor the Shopify composition a little bit.
I really like these new Noxus towers. That we have on this Rift. I think they're just aesthetically really cool looking, even like a little bit of smoke billowing out of the cannon. Big fan of those. Big fan of those.
And I think next season, it'll be different.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I hope that they come back eventually, even after they leave. The cannon towers are a big favorite of mine. Let's take a look at these keystones, summoner spells, all of that good stuff. Bottom lane, this time, both of our bottom lane champions do have the same summoner spell. This time, it's got nothing to do with combat at all. Double teleports down there means there are 6 teleports in this game. We have talked about the importance of macro in both previous games. We've talked about the importance of having a better plan than your opponent. There's even more opportunities to outwit and outmaneuver when you have 50% more teleports.
Yes, it absolutely is, and it's a higher chance of a lane swap, but we're not seeing that here because I think both teams think that it's fairly straightforward lanes. Nice little early ward there by LYON. I'd say Amumu does love starting Raptors. You can start with Tantrum. The little Raptors hit you so fast that it just comes back immediately, also because the E reduces physical damage. You take no damage from the Raptors, and it's one of the fastest ways for Amumu to clear. But early on, just trading some Aftershocks down to the bot lane.
Always feels good to start with the Raptors there on Amumu. He's one of those, he's kind of like Kane, right? He's one of those, some champions just really love the chicken pit, and Amumu is one of them. But down here in bottom lane, Bvoy and Zeyzal, we'll see how well this Ziggs ends up working into the Varus. We know this is a very high priority champion. Bottom lane, Varus wins a lot of matchups. He has a lot of pressure early on. So how well can Bvoy neutralize him? You mentioned back in draft that you don't see Ziggs as like, you know, a champion that comes to mind when you think of Bvoy. I agree with that.
The tricky thing with Ziggs, as we see a level 2 hook in,
doesn't look like we should get a whole lot more. I feel like we're just going to walk this off with a little bit of extra damage, but Zeyzal takes, honestly, quite a few hits right upside the jaw, down to 200 HP.
Yeah, it's really hard to accurately criticize a pro Ziggs player because most AD carries can lane Ziggs, and then the criticism would come in team fights of trying to either land damage at the right time or just do maximum damage like an AD carry player would. But what makes it even harder with Ziggs is it's mostly just like the setup of the team and whether or not they're prepping ways for him to knock down turrets at the right time. So sometimes you can just look really ineffective and it has nothing to do with you. Not sure if that's going to be one of the cases right now, but Bvoy did get left alone early on once again as Zeyzal took another very early recall.
And you brought it up in the previous game, and I want to kind of revisit it here because I do think it's a huge story for the series, is LYON's targeting of Palafox and Palafox's subsequent unimpressive performance in the series overall. He is on a champion that can do a lot of impressive things. Some things I would consider he should not be able to do, but he is a very powerful champion. Palafox has shown us in the past that he is a player that can have very high highs, but he hasn't been hitting them recently. Last year was not a high point for Palafox. A lot of people are hoping to see him bounce back this year, but as we're kind of waiting to see where the action happens next, Emily's standing by for an interview with Coach Revan.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Coach Revan as we're kind of watching your team play out the early game. What did you see from the team in Game 2 that you really liked that allowed them to come back in the series?
Even though the early game was a bit rough, that they kept it together, they understood the point of the comp, we scaled very well, we went front to back as long as we cover our flanks and managed our side waves well, we would have won the game. So they did that very well, and I'm happy that they understood the assignment.
And then as we look at Contractz and Oddie fighting in the jungle, what do you think they need to do to kind of really close out the series, especially with this Yone Ziggs composition that you've drafted?
Flash, and he didn't, and he gave a kill, which is very sad. However, this game, I think, as long as we can mitigate the early game, we have a pretty strong 1-3-1 comp that scales very well and strong in team fights as well. So if we can manage the bleeding, I think we can win.
Thank you so much, Reverend. You're always such a good sport. Seriously, thank you. We will toss it back to the casters so they can go over that play.
I think he covered it.
Yeah.
I think it's very sad. It's very sad that he didn't flash. It was a little bit tragic, actually. I liked that whole early game. Just to go back a little bit, that whole early game, I was watching Contractz pathing very closely. I'm not going to have time to say it as Bvoy's getting engaged on.
Let's see. Does Lyonz accomplish his mission? I mean, throws him up into the air, but there's not a whole lot more. Okay, continue, my friend.
He was so defensive. The way he sequenced his camps, he took blue buff first. He had an early control ward that he threw down. He cleared a little bit slower because he wasn't going to be able to contest the first crab. Also, when you start Raptors, even if you get double crab, you can still take Raptors so you don't fall that far behind. But then he does actually get the smite on the Raptors, and he lands the second bandage as Palafox backs away on the Yone, which then leaves him in the truly vulnerable situation that led to the rest of the sequence. So he was worried the whole time that Viego was going to punish him and prepped to do so. Then the one time he tried to get aggressive, it ends up giving up first blood.
It's the littlest things in a game of League of Legends, man. That one little opportunity that you give the opponent might be the one that he needs. Licorice level 6, Fudge still only level 5. Now, Fudge needs 1 minion or 2, and he'll hit level 6, so it's not likely that Licorice is able to find a big punish here. Really,
he's in there.
Just that first kill so far on the board. We have our neutral objectives both live on the map. It has been a lot of early grub taking so far in this series. First game had an early Drake. Second one, not so much, as Zeyzal forced to flash over the wall there to stay safe as Lyonz goes in for another grand entrance. Audie invading the enemy jungle. Saint right behind him. It's a press from Lion into enemy territory to control some of these resources.
That ain't your grump anymore, Contractz.
No.
That is an Ahri investing a roam. Mid-prio, bot-prio used about as well as they can. I think losing the Gromp feels bad, but it's ultimately the right decision because if he tries to take it, they give up yet more kills. Now it's just a matter of whether Contractz can race back to his own Raptors. He's not actually that far behind in terms of experience, but he's very far behind in his feelings because he's been getting invaded this entire time. And he's just pressing and he's scared, which then puts the rest of the team on the back foot, right? Because your jungler, this is what I like about what Oddie's doing to the Amumu, is no one on your team has to worry about the Amumu at all, so they can play even more aggressive in their matchups.
Especially now that Audie has the Heartbreaker on Viego. Like, Contractz does not want to be on the same screen with Viego anymore. Naturally, Viego is a better duelist than Amumu, but 6 versus 5, no, there's no way. You have to stay completely away from this guy. Audie just going ahead, starting up this first trio of grubs. Will secure the first 2, no smite required, which means the third one should be easy peasy. Contractz still just clearing through his own jungle. He's almost got level 6 himself. He will need to secure this red buff to acquire that. Zeyzal making his way up here, just being ready in case they try to make a play from Lyon's side, try to move towards some kind of a dive. It would be borderline suicide because Fudge is on Renekton and he has Dominus available, so it's not like that's really going to go down. But Zeyzal's still going to shadow just in case. Fudge will finish clearing out the wave. The grubs in their entirety go over to Lion.
Yeah, and also there's not a substantial amount of setup for the Drake, so Shopify Rebellion really behind early on in this game. The triple teleports also increase the amount of mobility that the laners can have with Varus moving top so early. A little bit surprised, actually, that Lyonz isn't going to back up his Varus at the moment. But this will probably give them a jump on Drake if they decide to just run out bot lane as Audie lands Viego path towards the bot dragon.
Very, very tense state right now as everybody's got these ultis coming online. We got to see who's going to find that killer moment first. Palafox snapping back after trying to continue to trade with Saint, but Lyonz is ready to back him. Dragon's still alive. Nothing in that top side pit for the next 3 minutes, so don't expect a ton of attention on the top half of the map. And again, it matters so much. This game is what it's all about, man. If you guys who were here during the break saw the thing pop up, that Split 2 starts on April 5th.
Yes.
If you lose this game, this one game of League of Legends that you are playing right now, you don't play another game until April 5th.
Yes.
That's a long time to think about your mistakes.
You can stream your scrims now.
Okay.
So there's a silver lining in everything.
You can stream
Captain
some
Flowers.
sad boy scrims.
Yes.
For the next couple of months.
You can.
But if you win here, you have the even better option of being able to play again next Sunday for a chance to go to Brazil.
And also stream your scrims. So it'll be a double win. as expected, as Viego path towards bot, they pick up the second objective. So the early game has been completely controlled by LYON here. And this is feeling more like game one, where they're just controlling everything from the jump. Game one, they put Palafox in a hole. This game, they put Contractz in a hole. And it's just allowed Oddie's Viego to go wherever he wants to go and secure the objectives while maintaining a nice CS lead.
So, last game, we had an early advantage for LYON. Shopify ends up coming back into it with the big Akan swing, right? And so when I look at this game, and I'm trying to see, are we going to have another game state like that? I don't see the same level of zone control tools on Shopify that can lead them to having that advantageous state like they did around the Akan, with the saplings, with the Caitlyn traps. So I gotta see Shopify stop this bleeding. Get a bandage, wrap it up. I don't want to see any more mess on the battlefield, because you can't afford to fall that much further behind. Not when these guys have the tools they do. Palafox forced to use the Fate Sealed, jumping back to the safety of his turret as Oddie was immediately ready to back up Saint.
And that burned nothing from LYON. Look at all the deep wards they have in the top side of the jungle as well. So everything from Shopify is completely on the back foot. I think they do have strong engage, but currently they just have absolutely no pressure. Licorice has been keeping Fudge pushed in this entire time, so the Renekton hasn't been able to be any type of force in an early Grub fight or an early Drake fight, which is often when the level 6 Renekton can be as powerful as possible.
Yeah.
And then Palafox has just been under his turret pretty much the entire time, in part because he's never been able to have the threat of Yone plus a jungler, because they've been tracking Contractz so well this entire game. So it's just a really well-played early game so far by LYON.
And you talk about Renekton wanting to leverage that early power, the power of level 6. When we compare him to his opponent in the Urgot, remember that Urgot has unique power spike levels compared to most other champions in the game. Generally, when you think about those big levels, you're thinking ulti levels, 6 and 11. For Urgot, it's 9 and 13. 9 is when Purge becomes a toggle instead of a cooldown. 13 is when your shotgun knees become their smallest cooldown.
Yeah, and it's like a exponential cooldown on those knees, but there's a teleport coming in actually right now.
Palafox could be in some danger. Remember, there's no ulti available, so if he wants to get away, it's got to be with a flash. Contractz now hit with another charm, dead the same way he died the first time. The Ahri seals the deal. 2-0-0 on Saint's scoreline. 12 minutes into the game, LYON picking up another one, and it's another gray screen for the Shopify jungler.
And I think they could just speed run to grubs to get 6 grubs early on in this game as well. They've just never had, and this is overly simplistic, but they've never had more people in a fight than LYON have. LYON has them outnumbered this entire time because they're getting the push in their waves early, and then they're making the collapses happen.
Ooh, just barely going to miss that recall interrupt there for Palafox as well. And I like the fact you say it's overly simplistic, but at the same time, I feel like it is one of the most basic ways to assess, is this fight a good idea or not? You just pause the screen and you count the number of guys from each color on the screen, right?
Yep.
5 enemy jerseys, 4 of our jerseys, walk away.
Oddie land, counted, backed up.
Yep.
So now if they can count at an even number, he's going to be going back in. Currently, they do not have it.
They have 3 red guys right here. I'm 1 blue guy. I should walk away from that. Don't want to fight that. But it will be those grubs going the way of Shopify, but it is only 2 of them.
Correct.
One of the grubs taken by LYON means no feat credit for Shopify, no full grub credit.
They're going.
For Shopify on that one. Licorice will be the target of a dive. Teleports coming in for both sides. It'll be a 4v2 play for Shopify. Fudge going in for the stun immediately as Palafox follows it up with a Fate Sealed. Licorice wants to survive, but it ain't going to work out. He is already down now. Saint's going to die here too. Contractz traded. A 2-for-1, but it's not even the credit. The shutdown goes over to the Yone. No damage done to Contractz by Saint's Ahri somehow. The turret takes the execution.
That's ridiculous that Saint didn't get a W or an R off. It would have been a perfect CC chain from when the teleport came in. I thought for sure the Feat of Warfare comes through, but now they're going to be able to get the first turret, and they could actually pull the Feats of Strength with 1 more kill.
That is insane. Yeah, you can see he never got to cast the ulti, so it was just immaculate CC chaining as soon as he landed for Saint to just completely waste the TP. Let's take another look at it and how this starts off. Fudge is the first to go.
At first, you think this play from Fudge is a little bit too early. Like, why not wait for the minions to land? But it's because they can actually get a clean one-shot onto Licorice's Urgot. But then watch Contractz, he gets the stun. Okay, Saint had time to press a button. Saint would have had time to press W, but he just didn't have the priority to get damage onto Contractz. Crazy that he couldn't get any damage through to get that kill.
And it's stressful in the coach's room, as one might expect. LYON not happy to see that one. Their lead virtually disappearing there as Shopify takes the kills, as LYON only gets an execute in return. And now the game below 500 gold separating the two teams. LYON going after their next Drake. This will lock them in to that neutral objective, secure there for the feats.
Yep.
Nicely done.
So
but we still have no kill feat claim.
Still have no kill feat. The next kill wins.
Yeah.
The feats of strength.
Yeah, it really does.
And then the winner of this game advances. The loser of this game goes home. And I'm just happy that Shopify was able to pull this one back, and now Palafox has the gold to make things happen in this game. He's had a bad series, but can make up for it here if he can pop off in this game with these 2 early kills.
Exactly. If your game 1 and 2 were bad, but then in game number 3, you are the guy, you are the carry, you are the reason that your team wins, people are going to forgive those first 2. Palafox is set up now, 2-0-0 on one of the most protagonist champions in League of Legends. Yeah. He has the tools. The Bork is completed. Let's see what he can do with it, as we do have 15 seconds before the Rift Herald spawns. This is very commonly a fight. Teams do not want to let this go without a scrap if they can help it.
Yeah, especially with the outer turrets still available in the game. The Rift Herald will basically grant you mid-turret down, which can just open up the map entirely. Likely to be our first big fight of the game. I feel bad for my boy Contractz right now. 0-3-1 on the Amumu, but Leandry's ult and maybe flash up. He can make a big play happen. It doesn't matter that he's died 3 times.
Yeah, and again, I said this back when we saw the Amumu locked in, final pick of the draft for Shopify. The combo potential with Amumu and Ziggs and Yone, if all 3 of those abilities hit multiple targets, fight's over.
Yep. Series over, game over. Moving on to the next round. Just another quick hit on the format. Winning this series will not qualify you for the American stage. Winning the series after that actually would, though. It's you lose 2, you're eliminated. You win 2, you're all the way through. And Fudge getting a little bit of pressure down onto Licorice as well. They're teleporting to make this a bigger play. Okay. The slowest teleport of all time, though.
Yeah, Shopify trying to make a move, but the move is a little bit too slow. They got 3 guys down here, but there's no wave. It's already been cleared out, so Licorice is perfectly comfortable. So
much for that Rift Herald force at the moment that Fudge could still teleport back up there if he pushes this wave in next. So I think was an attempted play. Didn't actually cost them that much, even if it had a low chance of working.
And you also commented on this earlier. Now that Licorice is 1 level away, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. The shotgun knee cooldown for Urgot.
Right.
I believe the way what the numbers are is the level 11 one is 4 seconds per knee, while the level 13 one is 2.5.
It goes down to 2.5.
So you're reducing the cooldown by almost 40%.
Yeah.
Right? It's 37.5% from 4 to 2.5.
Yeah, I think it goes 5 to 2.5 actually, because currently it's 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it's 5, then yeah, it cuts
it
in half, which is insane.
It basically makes it so every hit as you're going in a circle will be a shotgun.
Yeah, if you can just walk in a circle around the guy, you'll never shoot a normal projectile, which is massive damage potential. We know how badly these things hurt, and it means that Licorice can be a serious threat in the middle of one of these fights. Black Cleaver completed for both of those Bruiser top laners, with the bottom lane tier 1 turret destroyed by Shopify. They will take a 1 turret advantage. The gold still below 1,000, separating the 2 teams, as Oddie will start up that Rift Herald, and with Saint and Hena both coming to help him, with nobody from Shopify nearby, that will be this neutral objective going to LYON, no contest. That will also be the feats of strength for LYON.
Yeah, so that is likely going to be
no, it won't. I'm done.
Yeah, so they already had the feat of objectives.
Yeah, they already had. They already had. I completely missed it. It's, you know what? It's throwing me off. It's because the grayed out one. Because Shopify's color is gray.
How dare they?
Yeah.
How dare they have
Pick
gray?
a different color, man.
Yeah, green. Weren't they green last year?
Yeah, exactly. They had some green on there. That would be so much easier to tell. I can kind of see the difference now, but I'm going to blame that. That threw me off.
Yeah, the turret looks like it's not even filled in. Anyway, we know that the 3rd kill is going to be the next feat, and it's likely that the first 3 turrets are going to be dropping pretty soon for Shopify. Looks like Palafox is trying to get a deep push top right now because he's got 50 more seconds. It'll be interesting to see if he has enough gold to complete his next item. He has spent pretty much all of it to get to this point, so he will not, but this next Drake is potentially going to break the game open. Oh, okay, he got it.
Okay, we have the Immortal Shield Bow completed for Palafox on the Yone. Gives that extra burst of survivability in the team fights. Fudge goes in for the stun. There went to Licorice. Zeyzal ready to follow up with a flash for the ulti. Licorice wanted to make the outplay, but he can't pull him into the grinder in time. Remember, your character model gets pulled to Urgot. You stay there in the grinder for a second, and then you die. He was mid-grind,
wow.
but the Croc escapes with a fraction of a second.
That was actually a fraction of a second, and it was the right timing for Shopify to punish because Licorice had hit that level 13 spike. He said, I've got it, I can win the all-in. And he, you know what? He's right, he can win the all-in.
But not 1v3.
Against one player. Yeah, not against one, not against three. So Lion is maybe gonna get the Drake on top of this though, as Shopify is moving elsewhere. Watching this one more time, Zeyzal comes in for the ultimate save. Root, stun, Palafox, and are you kidding me, man? He was inside the Urgot.
And I mean, if that's, you can even see the frustration there. If that's not a 3v1, even a 2v1, he wins. Because he ends up killing the Renekton. The fear would then proc on the Nautilus, and he would turn around and kill the Nautilus as well without Palafox being there. The Yone was necessary, and it was still that close.
I love how Revan was sure that Fudge was dead. Okay, well now he's sure that Fudge is dead.
I am also sure
Flash.
that Fudge is dead.
Okay.
This time, there's nothing to save him from the crab grinder.
Definitely not. No death to Licorice here. 3 Drakes still by Lion as well. I'm really curious why they didn't take Drake after killing the guy.
Yeah.
But that's 3 Drakes now. We missed it because we were in the replay, so it happened last game too, where there seems to be a low priority on Drakes for Shopify. They ended up winning that game.
Well, maybe.
So it was fine.
Well, also, so game number 1, Lion gets the soul and they win. It's a Kim soul. Game number 2, Shopify stops him from getting the soul and they win. It's a Kim soul. Game number 3, we go from the crappiest soul to the best one. It's a Hex soul now.
Yeah.
So this is significantly more of a problem, I think.
Yes.
If Shopify gives this away, the final Drake of the game will be spawning in 3.5 minutes, or the final normal Drake, if Lion gets it. So 25-minute Hex Soul is so hard to play against.
And it's super fast as well in terms of how early you'll get a soul with the poke from Varus as well. And Urgot just easily winning this 1v1, but this is not a numbers advantage.
Oh, Shopify, they decide to go in. Their spider senses are tingling. They know that Lion's got to be hanging around for this. They immediately catch one, and now Saint's got to try to get away.
Nice.
He charms Palafox, but the Fate Seal buffers through the CC. That's enemy jungler and mid laner down. Shopify are working miracles around Akan 2 games in a row.
And that was really over-aggressive by Lion. It is just 2 people, and they do not have vision of enough people to make sure that that play, or even guess that that play is going to be safe. So they get caught. Contractz presses the go button right away. They're not even able to get countered with the turret. And now we're going to see how effective this use of Voracious Akan is for Shopify, because last game, it was a little later. They could take that straight into Baron and just completely took over the game. Now it's going to be more isolated to just having this next moment with the GA buff.
I feel like it'll be more apt to compare it to the one that Lion got in game 1 in terms of the game state that they're using it in, because we did criticize the one from Lion in the first game a little bit. They weren't able to find great efficacy with that one. I'm curious if Shopify can do a little bit better here, because they really need to find value. This buff is pretty well going to line up with leading into this next Drake spawn, and they need to secure this 4th Drake.
If they could get all of the ultimates, or at least someone dead at the very tail end of this Akan buff, that would be the best use, actually. So I don't think this is one of those where, oh yeah, just make sure we use the buff, get
just
as many cooldowns out,
and
just send it as fast as possible. They want to walk a pretty tight line here of going for a fight right before the buff is going to wear out, so that it can align better with the respawn of that Hextech Drake.
100% agree. If you can go into a dragon fight without a Viego ulti, without an Ahri ulti, without a Rakan ulti, right? You can really, really change the landscape of the way that looks. Maybe make Lion not even want to come there and contest it.
Yeah, so they got about 70 seconds left on it. It's a 150-second buff, so it'll expire about 10 seconds before the Drake pops off. But if Licorice just gets this one for free, that's not a great start.
Oh, no. Okay, Fate sealed from Palafox. Trying to turn it back around onto the Urgot. They're both going to get their shields. Licorice still trying to get himself back away here a little bit further. Palafox, the protagonist, slays the Urgot and takes his win in the 1v1. Now Oddie lands trying to clean him up, but he's got to be careful. The Yone is still highly mobile, looking to get himself back away. Resets position yet again. Q3, Palafox just sat Oddie down and told him how it is. Meanwhile, Shopify continuing their push on the bottom side at the same time, and they are crushing LYON.
Or just 1v2 if you're Palafox. Terrible game 1, less good game 2, and right now a great game 3 by Palafox. Back-to-back solo kills.
I said it earlier, after he got the couple of kills from the play that they made top lane. He's got the kills, he's got the money, he's got a champion that you can flex and carry with, and that's what's getting done.
They're going for Baron.
As Shopify are just sending it after the Baron.
I don't know. They should go for Drake instead.
Yes.
Yeah, they've decided that.
I agree.
Yeah, so I'm glad they figured that out. But now everyone on LYON is alive, and the Hex gates are going to allow them to get here. So we still got a big fight coming up. A gold lead now, Infinity Edge for Palafox. He is the main character in this fight. We got to watch him.
Yeah, this Palafox Yone, they will live and die by his performance. Shopify with control and priority over the river. The Drake is alive. Hex Soul, if it's claimed by LYON.
All right, early engage. If Hena could land an ultimate on anyone squishy, that's good. But at the moment, Shopify are the ones with more tools to engage. No flash on Contractz, but he's going to have ult in about 5 or 10 seconds. LYON, you can see, they do not have control of the river, so the approach is difficult for them.
Very, very tough. The Ziggs going to continue making that tougher and tougher. Palafox level 16 on the Yone. Saint still yet to ding 15, excuse me, on the Ahri. Palafox with that Q3 still charged, goes over the wall, hits the Q3 on 2, immediately jumps right back away, but Hena wastes the chains of corruption.
That's big.
Trying to lock him down. That's an ulti out of the picture. Remember what we were talking about earlier. You make them waste a couple of ultis, maybe they don't even want to fight for the Drake, and it looks like the Lions are cowardly now. Looking at this one, that is no Hex Soul 25 minutes into the game. That is mission accomplished for Shopify.
Yeah, and I think once the Varus ultimate was down, it is the correct play to give it. Because if they try and walk in without the Varus ultimate against that Infinity Edge Yone and they lose that fight, then the game is over. Then they go home because they've lost this series and they're eliminated from Split 1. But we're going to get to see this one more time from Palafox. Now, really good use of his shield. Shield bow comes in the big time as well. And then also, that flash to avoid the flip from Licorice is the thing that secures the kill at the end of the day. And I also think, like, this second fight, I've noticed this a lot with Voracious Akan. You're stronger than you think you are sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're willing to go with the withdrawals, like, I'll just do as much damage as possible. And you end up getting additional kills. That's something that happened there for Palafox.
It's a cheerleader buff. It encourages you to be your best self.
Yes, no
and
fear.
take the fights that you otherwise wouldn't take. And Palafox ends up getting a huge reward for it. Now let's see. Bvoy flashing away as Hena goes for the flash ulti to try to engage on the Ziggs. So both carries now without those summoner spells. Varus, however, completely immobile. Doesn't have the built-in satchel like a Ziggs. So very dangerous now for Hena, especially with the fed state of Palafox. Contractz with 1 quarter left on the cooldown on his flash. Once Amumu has flash, it becomes that much more dangerous for the back line because all he has to do, Q your front line, flash forward towards you, ult you, bam, now you're in trouble.
Yeah, so Hena pressing a little bit in this game, trying to make something happen. Things have gotten a little bit out of control for him. And Lyonz goes in onto Palafox, also doesn't get it.
That's not what he needs. Palafox ready to turn it back around here with the Fate Sealed, immediately kills the Rakan, and now Licorice, the target for the rest of Shopify. It's 2 dead for LYON. No one on Shopify has fallen. The Baron is the next choice, and after they've started to lose their momentum, it feels like LYON has fallen flat on their faces.
And Palafox is a best-of-3 player. He just needed to warm up. Like, he has been dodging everything. He made that engage look absolutely silly, easily turned it around onto Lyonz, and this goal lead has gone from, it looks like they're going to be eliminated, to being in complete control of this game.
And that's the thing with Palafox. Again, we've talked about this before. He's had really high highs and he's had really low lows.
Yeah.
If you can get high roll Palafox, you can see some amazing stuff. I like to read the live commentary threads in between the games. And after these past couple of games, people online were being like, wait, You're telling me this is the guy that knocked Caps out of Worlds 2 years ago? Are you kidding me? People were hating. But now, he's 5-0-2 in this game. He had the outplay on the top side. He is working towards that redemption in this series. And it's just what we were talking about earlier. If you have a crappy first couple of games, people are going to give you hell for it. But that hell is going to get cooler real quick if you're the carry in game number 3 and you're the reason that they're still playing again next week.
And it's one of these things with Fearless as well that I don't necessarily know if we'd be seeing the Yone in a game 3 in the old format, because if you're having a bad series, I think the instinct would be to play more comfort. Let's continue to have the Azir or the Victor or the stuff that we've been playing on stage more. But I also think of when Palafox has been at his best, it is on stuff that's aggressive. It was the Jace Tristana meta. It's been on Yone before, so it looks like there's going to be a short pause as well. We're back into the game.
Awesome.
Palafox has 13.6k gold. He is 2.6k gold ahead of Saint. He's got 2.6k gold more than the most fed member online, who's actually, it's a very close race between Saint and Hena. So he is in absolute control of the game. Now, in saying all of this, it just takes one. Like, it just takes one mistake. This game is still on a knife's edge.
But that was beautiful right there, buffering the Q3 through the Rakan quickness charm. He got charmed. You could see the CC bar above his head, but he buffered the Q3 through it. So by the time he was done with his dash, the CC was already over. Now back to live. Blink and you'll miss it. Saint is dead, and Shopify's barreling down mid lane with Baron.
Okay, this is huge for them. Trying to take that momentum. Yet another kill.
Contractz goes in, but he goes in too far. Pulled back into the grinder from Licorice. Oddie going to take that body. Possesses him. 4 versus 4 on the map now with a tier 1 turret down. Bvoy and Palafox maintaining their position here in the mid lane as Fudge splits down bottom.
Man, that was rough there from Contractz. He saw the win if he lands another bandage, but they just didn't have the tools left, and Palafox is in!
Palafox sees it, Q3 into the Fade Seal, gets 1, gets 2, I think I like it, Palafox! Shut down on Hena, 8-0-2 here on the Yone. Palafox being the X factor for Shopify in game 3.
He is having such a pop-off performance. This is about 5 plays in a row, absolutely driven by Palafox. 2 dead here. Shopify's gonna see if they can end the game 4v3.
Let's go for it. Palafox, Bvoy, Fudge, and Zeyzal all going straight for the Nexus turrets. Saint jumps in, but immediately has to use the defensive Zonias as the Ziggs bomb threatens to knock him right on back. Saint has to reset the position as Shopify are resetting their own. They can't go for the throat just yet. They will have to exit and make one more try, but the base of Lion in tatters.
Really important that they didn't overstay there, though, because the one way they lose this game is if the Hex Soul goes over to Lion. That could negate the 7,000 gold advantage that they have earned. Great sequence, time to reset, get back on the map quickly. Also, that Nexus turret will be back in 3 minutes. They do respawn now, so Shopify need to make sure to play off this pressure well.
Shopify set up to be able to claim this next Drake. We'll see if Lion try to challenge for it. Palafox goes in, Q3 onto Lyonz, but doesn't want to overall commit to that too heavily. Shopify will set up some of their vision. They want to make sure that if Lyonz wants to approach, they want a challenge for this Drake, they are immediately met with maximum resistance.
And I think Palafox is just going to take this down very quickly while the rest of the team pokes in river. So it should be no risk for a steal.
Nope.
Shopify can keep control of this game. I like the play.
Yeah, really good stuff there. So now 3 Drakes to 2, still favoring Lion, but only ever so slightly in terms of Drakes. Everything else, it is Shopify, Shopify, Shopify. 7,000 gold lead, feeling great. Ready to push down the bottom lane. 1 Nexus turret still standing. Bottom lane tier 3, barely holding on. A couple of hits will knock this thing over. Honestly, just hit it with a Ziggs satchel and it's ready to blow.
Yep. Just 1 button press, well 2 button press, you throw it and then you detonate it.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
www.getridofthisttower.com as Fudge pushing mid, everybody else from Shopify putting the pressure on the inhibitor here in the bottom lane. Super Minion adding an extra headache in mid lane that Oddie lands now rotating over to help Saint deal with. All of Lion now grouping up back in the bottom side, trying to deal with this one, trying to defend. Engage comes out, Licorice here on the front line. Lot of damage back onto Zeyzal. He's going to be killed off first. Oddie lane looking to go in for the reset, but he's cut down by Palafox, who is legendary here on the Yone. Saint, Hena, and Lyonz scrambling to try to keep defending, having lost their top side. Palafox continues pushing them back. Shopify claims their second in hit.
Okay, 1 down, 4-2. Super minions in the mid wave, and Ziggs crucially still alive. Just a couple hits. He just needs to walk a little closer, but he's a little bit too scared to get up there. Palafox trying to buy time.
Palafox has a GA. He wants to, again, play aggressively, force them back. Bvoy needs a little bit more damage to get the satchel kill, and the final Nexus turret is gone. Hena, Saint, and Lyonz scrambling to try to keep themselves alive, but it ain't gonna work. Shopify are onto the Nexus. Palafox is going legendary, and Shopify's first split ain't yet over. They're gonna play more next weekend.
That was absolutely crazy. Renekton pick on freedom spot. Yeah. Contractz, Palafox. Can I get you both for an interview? Yeah. We'll do it right here. Come on over here. Right now, right now. Alright. Got both Contractz and Palafox here. Palafox, you can chill right here in the middle. Yeah, right there. Yeah, perfect. Contractz, you can be right there. Sweet. What's up, guys? Got the victorious Contractz, Palafox after what was a crazy Game 3 series. First of all, just like talk me through how that last game went, because you had a crazy 1v2.
You know, from the previous game when I died, Azure versus Silas, I was kind of a little bit upset, so kind of wanted to play better in this game, and I also felt like if I got Yone in this last game, I'd kind of 1v9, so yeah, that ended up happening.
And Game 2 as well. I mean, Contractz, it felt like you had a great series. Game 2, you were literally all over the place on Maokai. Just how did that series feel for you?
Yeah, I was just watching Razor play Maokai earlier, so I wanted to try to cosplay that a little bit. Not as good as him yet, but I'll get there.
Taking notes, oh, right next to you. Taking notes, you know, from the Ludwig Amumu a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Diamond's next, right? So.
Of course. How's the offseason for you guys? You guys came in from NRG. I feel like you guys went to Korea, right? Yeah. Was it during Christmas?
Yeah, we were in Korea during the holidays, during New Year. It was really fun. I think it's been a while since we went on like a boot camp with everybody together. It's kind of like fun, like DJing in Korea a little bit, you know, up late night, getting food at like 12 o'clock, going to the convenience store, hanging out. I think it did a lot for our like team bonding and stuff. So felt good.
How'd it go for team bonding? Just seeing everybody together.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we were there for maybe about 3.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Yeah. So just got to, you know, feel all our coaches, feel all our teammates, and well, that sounds a little, yeah.
Next opponent for you guys is going to be 100 Thieves or Team Liquid, the loser of that series. How are you guys feeling going up against either of those?
I mean, this is just like a stepping stone, so we need to keep practicing, keep getting better. Our game was a little bit sloppy, and yeah, I'm excited for the series.
All right, thank you both. We're going to go straight to a break after this one. Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm at Renekton. If he TVs. Nice. You feel? Alright.
Go, just Oddie TP.
It's okay. Let's get the wave in. Okay, I'm going. I have ult on Ahri too. Kill Ahri.
I don't think she even has
Nice.
One, careful. Okay, it's okay.
Thank you. They coming. Slow. Run. For your kill. Oh. Slow. Oh, good.
I will
Still
flash
looking here, yep. I have ult on them after. Okay.
Okay, we
Nice.
go. I'm making shot time. Yeah.
I'm on Urgot.
We're going on Urgot slow. We're going on Urgot slowly.
Killing Urgot here.
Akan is dead
Killing
already.
Urgot.
I have Viego, just stalling.
Stall. Yeah, nice.